Someone want to explain why I got a message that said, Poseidon problem, mutual interest, come alone, slipped under my cabin door while I was asleep? Because that's not concerning at all. That's perfectly normal. I received death threats with better penmanship and less mystery. Who wrote it? Which one of you has access to my ship without my crew noticing?
If something got onto your ship without being seen, blame the man who dresses like a flying rodent and thinks theatrics are a form of communication. I got a similar summons, carved into the hull of the Dutchman itself. Letters that appeared overnight in wood that nothing should be able to mark. Took me 3 days to sail here because I was curious who had that kind of reach. Not curious enough to be polite about it, mind you, but curious.
I sent both messages. The methods were chosen based on what would actually get your attention, Jones. You respect things that shouldn't be possible. Sparrow, you respond to mystery because you can't resist believing you're smarter than whoever's creating it. You're both here. The methods worked. Now we can either spend another 20 minutes discussing how I violated your personal spaces, or we can address the fact that Poseidon has marked all 3 of us for death and is currently marshaling resources to follow through.
I'm sorry, marked for death? Specifically, because I've had a very careful arrangement with that particular god for about 15 years now. Stay out of his sacred waters, don't mess with his temples, keep my head down during the big storms. It's worked beautifully, we have an understanding. He pretends I don't exist and I return the favor. Are you telling me that understanding has been, unilaterally terminated? By him? What exactly did either of you do that's splashing back onto me?
What I did was exist. That's been enough to offend him since Calypso gave me the Dutchman, a mortal commanding the dead of his ocean. He's tolerated it because moving against me meant moving against her. And goddess or not, she's tricky in ways that give even the Olympians pause. But Calypso's been quiet lately. Weakened, maybe. Distracted. Word travels through the deep, and the word is that Poseidon's decided the tolerance was a mistake. The Dutchman's on his list. Apparently so is anyone connected to her network, which includes you, Sparrow, whether you like the association or not.
3 weeks ago, I stopped a ritual in Gotham Harbor. Cultists trying to summon something from the deep, using artifacts that traced back to Poseidon's priesthood. I destroyed the artifacts, killed the summoning. In the process, I may have damaged something that belonged to him directly. A smaller trident, ceremonial, probably had sentimental value. Since then, Gotham's waterfront has experienced 11 anomalous events. Floods that ignore elevation, ships sinking in the harbor with no structural explanation. A Wayne Enterprises submarine crushed at a depth it was rated for. He's not being subtle about the retaliation.
So to summarize the situation we're currently in, you, Batman, broke one of his toys and now he's throwing a tantrum at your city. You, Davy, exist in a way that insults him, and your protection just went offline. And me, I'm guilty by association with a sea goddess I haven't spoken to in years and would frankly prefer to keep it that way. 3 separate grudges, 1 god, and the solution is apparently to sit in a room together and scheme. I don't love our odds. I've seen Poseidon angry from a distance. There wasn't much left of the distance afterward.
The alternative is waiting. He picks us off one by one, starting with whoever's most convenient. Probably you, Sparrow. You've got no curse protecting you, no city full of resources. Just a ship and a crew and a lot of open water between you and anywhere safe. He could sink the Pearl tomorrow and call it weather. No one would question it. At least sitting here we're combining information. The Bat's got resources I don't. I've got knowledge of the sea that he doesn't. You've got whatever it is you have. Luck, I suppose. We'll probably need that too.
I've been tracking Poseidon's movements through seismic data, tidal anomalies, and cross-referencing with mythological accounts of his behavioral patterns. He operates on cycles, solstice, equinox, lunar positioning. His power peaks during high gravitational stress between the ocean and the moon. Drops during neap tides. That gives us windows where he's operating at maybe 60% capacity. Still a god. but a god with constraints. The Greeks documented this. The Romans confirmed it. If we engage during a window, not before.
Charts and cycles and math. Very reassuring. Here's my question, and it's a practical one, because someone in this room needs to be practical. How do you fight a god? Actually fight one? I've killed a kraken. I've outrun hurricanes. I've negotiated with Calypso herself when she was in a mood that would have drowned most men for looking at her wrong. But none of that was fighting a god directly. It was surviving around the edges of divine business.
The moon matters, sure, but Poseidon's not a machine running on your schedules and data points. He's a temper attached to an ego, attached to an ocean. He gets angry. The sea gets angry. He gets distracted. Ships sink for no reason anyone can explain. I've felt him out there for 3 centuries, pressing against the edges of what Calypso carved out for me. Your numbers tell you when he's mathematically weakest. I can tell you when he's emotionally compromised. Those aren't always the same window.
You don't fight the god. You neutralize the source. Poseidon's power is channeled through the trident. Every account agrees on this. Remove the trident and he's still dangerous, still immortal, still commands respect from everything in the ocean. But he's unfocused, diminished. The trident was forged separately from him, by the Cyclopes, during the war against the Titans. It's a tool, not an extension of his essence. Tools can be taken. Tools can be broken. Our objective isn't to kill Poseidon. It's to take away the thing that makes
Steal from a god. That's the plan. Steal the big fork and run like hell. I've stolen from a lot of people who thought they were untouchable, but none of them could literally summon a tidal wave with their mood. What's the approach here? He keeps that trident on him at all times. 3,000 years of mythology. And there's maybe 2 paintings where it's not in his grip. You'd need something extraordinary to make him put it down. Or someone stupid enough to try grabbing it while he's looking the other way.
Calypso mentioned it once, back when she still talked to me about things that mattered. Said the trident was his leash as much as his weapon. Without it, he's still god of the sea in name. But the sea doesn't answer him the same way. Like a captain whose crew has stopped listening. The problem is getting him to release it. There was one time, centuries ago, his wife, Amphitrite, when she left him, retreated to her own palace in the deep, he abandoned the trident on his throne for half a day, while he went to beg her to return. Half a day. His heart overrode his grip.
Amphitrite is the vulnerability. Every mythological source confirms he's still trying to win her back. Still sends messengers, still makes gestures, still drops everything when she's involved. If we manufactured a credible threat to her, something that required him to respond personally and immediately, the trident becomes secondary. He'd leave it behind to save her. The question is staging a threat in the deep trenches, without her recognizing it as a manipulation, and calling him down on us instead.
So the plan involves approaching an angry goddess in her own palace, 30,000 feet underwater, surrounded by her own guards and monsters to sell her a fake emergency convincing enough that her estranged husband abandons his divine weapon to come running, and while he's distracted, someone grabs the fork. That's the shape of this? I'm just clarifying, because it sounds insane when I say it out loud, and I want to make sure we're all hearing the same insanity.
The Dutchman can reach those depths. That's not the issue. The issue is Amphitrite knows my face, knows I belong to Calypso. If I show up in her territory, she'll assume I'm there on my former lover's business. And that business was never friendly toward Poseidon's wife. She might summon him herself just to watch him destroy me. Any approach has to come from someone she doesn't recognize, someone without my particular history. That rules me out for the palace, leaves me positioning the ship for the extraction.
The approach to Amphitrite is mine. The suit can be modified for depth pressure. I have contacts for Atlantean credentials that will read as legitimate to divine security. Jones positions the Dutchman to intercept the trident the moment Poseidon abandons it. Sparrow, you keep him occupied on the surface with whatever misdirection comes naturally. 3 fronts, 3 specialists, 1 window where all of it aligns. The neap tide is in 11 days. We have that long to refine the details, or decide this isn't worth the risk. Waiting alone gets us killed separately. This is the alternative.